Welcome to The Explainer. You've probably heard the hype about stem cells, right? But what if I told you the most powerful ones aren't cooked up in some lab? They're already inside you. Today, we are diving deep into our body's hidden healers, a type of stem cell that could totally revolutionize medicine. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the big problem in regenerative medicine today. Cells like embryonic and mesenchymal stem cells. For the longest time, they were seen as the holy grail, the future of healing. But as this quote from the research points out, when it came to actual clinical trials, well, their effectiveness just wasn't what everyone hoped for. They kind of fell short of the hype.
And here's the puzzle. On one side, you've got embryonic stem cells. These things are incredible. They can turn into any cell type in the body. The problem? Well, it's a big one. They carry a risk of forming tumors, these things called teratomas. Yikes. Then on the other side, you have adult stem cells, like MSCs. They're much safer, for sure, but their success rate in trials? It's often really, really low. We're talking sometimes just 1 to 5%. It's like you have to choose between high risk or low reward. Not great options.
So, what if we're looking at this all wrong? What if the perfect stem cell isn't something we have to pick and choose the risks for? What if it's been hiding inside our bodies this whole time? And that, my friends, brings us to this incredible, kind of unsung group of healers living in our own tissues, adult telomerase-positive stem cells.
So what exactly are these aTPSCs? Well, think of them as this super rare population of stem cells that you're born with, and they stick around for your whole life. They're not engineered in a lab or anything like that. They're a completely natural part of you. And they've got a secret weapon, something that gives them this unbelievable power to heal.
And that secret weapon? It's an enzyme called telomerase. Seriously, this one little thing is what makes aTPSCs totally different from pretty much every other adult cell in your body. It is the key to their amazing potential.
All right, to really get why telomerase is such a game changer, you have to understand how most cells get old. See, most of our cells have this biological clock. It's called the Hayflick limit. It means they can only divide a certain number of times, maybe 50 to 70, and then that's it. They age and die. But aTPSCs, they play by different rules. Telomerase is like this protective little cap at the end of their chromosomes. Every time a normal cell divides, that cap gets shorter, but telomerase keeps rebuilding it. This means they can keep on dividing, basically forever, as long as they're in that stem cell state.
And check this out. This table really breaks it down. aTPSCs have that telomerase goodness just like embryonic stem cells, but, and this is huge, they don't have that scary tumor risk. Plus, unlike mesenchymal stem cells, which we have fewer and fewer of as we get older, our number of aTPSCs stays the same our whole lives. It's like they have all the pros of the other cells with none of the cons, the best of both worlds.
Okay, let's pause on this diagram for a second, because it really shows you just how versatile these cells are. See, it all begins at the very top with what's called a totipotent cell. The name says it all, total potential. It can literally become any tissue, including the placenta. From there, it's a one-way street. They differentiate into pluripotent cells. Now, these are still super powerful. They can become any of the body's tissues. We're talking muscle, nerves, bone, anything. And from that point, they specialize even further into the specific cells our body needs. It's this beautiful, organized waterfall of potential, and it's all happening right inside of us.
So, where can you find these powerhouses? The short answer is everywhere. They're hanging out in our connective tissue. The stuff that basically holds us all together. They're in your skin, they're surrounding your organs, they're even wrapped around your nerves. It's like we have this internal repair crew stationed all over the body, ready to go at a moment's notice.
Okay, so if these cells are all over the place, just waiting, how do we get them to spring into action when we actually need them? How do we wake up this internal repair crew?
Well, in their natural state, aTPSCs are basically sleeping. The scientific term is quiescent. Think of them like a team of elite paramedics, just on standby, waiting for the 911 call. They don't do anything until the body sends out a distress signal, a sign of injury, damage, or some kind of chronic disease.
Now, one way to get them working is pretty high-tech. It involves taking a tissue sample from the body, using some really complex lab techniques to find and separate these super rare cells, growing a whole bunch of them in a dish, and then putting them back into the body. It definitely works, but it's, a very involved and technical process.
But that leads to a really cool question, right? What if there's an easier way, a more direct way to wake up these little healers, without having to go through all that lab work and taking them out of the body?
And unbelievably, the research points to a much simpler answer, a special supplement. It's called a combinatorial nutraceutical supplement pill, or CNSP. The whole idea here is to use a specific mix of natural ingredients to wake up the body's own aPSCs right where they are. They call it in situ activation. Basically, you'd be mobilizing your own internal repair crew with a pill. It completely flips the script on medicine, from an outside-in approach to an inside-out one.
Okay, this all sounds amazing in theory, but what about in practice? Does this potential actually lead to safe and effective treatments for real people? Let's take a look at the evidence.
First off, safety. In the clinical studies where they isolated these aTPSCs and put them back in, the safety record has been perfect, 100%. Across multiple official studies, there wasn't a single reported adverse effect. That's a huge deal.
And it's not just safe, it's effective. We're talking a remarkable 86.4% success rate in actually reversing the symptoms of disease. And get this, that's not just for one or two things. That number is a cumulative result across 20 different chronic diseases and major injuries.
And the list of conditions they've studied is just staggering. We're not talking about minor aches and pains here. We're talking about some of the toughest diseases out there. Neurodegenerative stuff like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, but also things like osteoarthritis, damage from heart attacks, COPD, and even traumatic spinal cord injuries. The potential here is just wow. It's huge.
So let's just take a step back for a second and think about what this all really means. This isn't just a small step forward. This research could fundamentally change how we think about healing and regeneration.
You know, the biggest takeaway here is that the future of medicine might not be about creating some new wonder drug that we put into our bodies. It might be about figuring out how to unlock the incredible healing systems we already have. It's like each of us has this powerful, untapped pharmacy inside, and we're just now finding the key.
And that leaves us with one last kind of mind-blowing thought. If our bodies really do hold their own blueprint for repair, a system that doesn't really age and can become any tissue we need, then what's the limit? What aren't we capable of healing?